Y'all, please give it up for Reid and Yogesh. Build AI native applications and agents with SharePoint Embedded. Let's go.
Can you hear me? Awesome. How are you all doing? Awesome. We're going to talk about a unique way to build AI native applications using SharePoint Embedded. My name is Yogesh. I'm a principal product manager, and with me
I'm Reid. I'm also a product manager on the OneDrive SharePoint team. So before we get started, who here has heard of SharePoint? Every hand should go up. All right. Who here has heard of SharePoint Embedded? Very few hands, probably. OK, good. So this is going to be new for some of you, and it'll be reinforcement for some of you. So what we're going to do today is we're going to introduce the concept of SharePoint Embedded. We're going to then build an agent that can surface through a custom application. And then we're also going to show you an agent that can surface through M365. So to start things off, I want to talk a little bit about what SharePoint Embedded is. So SharePoint Embedded is an API-only version of SharePoint specifically designed for AI apps. It delivers critical functionality all at the end of an API. So it delivers M365 Copilot, Office collaboration, and Purview compliance. And it does this all as an Azure service. So we've seen probably a lot of things today, this week, about ways that you can use AI, ways that you can build agents. But if you are trying to get all of these things together, there is one way to do it, and that is SharePoint Embedded. So if you want to get started on it, you can look at this aka.ms start SPE. Don't worry, we're going to show that again. Now, when I talk about Microsoft 365 features being able to be surfaced as part of your app, it's a rich collection of features. It's really everything that you need in order to have robust enterprise-level document management as part of whatever app you're building. So this could be an ISV app. It could be an enterprise app. It could be a web app. It could be a mobile app. It's really designed for whatever app it is that you're working on. Now, the example that I give a lot of times here is collaboration. If you've ever tried to build collaboration into a document-centric app, you know it's challenging. With SharePoint Embedded, you get one-click access to the full suite of collaboration that Microsoft Office has. Presence indicators, sharing, real-time commenting, all of that information, all those capabilities that you need in order to satisfy your users. Now, we're able to do this because of how SharePoint Embedded is engineered. SharePoint Embedded lives in a special partition inside your M365 tenant. So if you think about your M365 tenant today, you already have partitions, you might just not know it. So for example, SharePoint Online is its own partition that has a certain way of behaving. OneDrive is its own partition that has a certain way of behaving. SharePoint Embedded is yet a third partition in there that you get to control as the app developer. And what brings all of these capabilities together is a new construct we have called file storage containers. Kind of a long name, but these are basically a very simple way for you to manage files and documents as part of any app. They're highly scalable. They're designed to be a security boundary. You can actually model your business based on them. And so if you take a look, we have a couple of different apps here that have their own stack of containers. And that's exactly how it works. So if you're used to using some of Microsoft's apps, things like Loop or Copilot Pages, Copilot Notebooks, Designer, those are all built on top of SharePoint Embedded container constructs. This is the same technology that you can use in your apps. OK, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Yogesh to talk a little bit more about the demo.
Yeah, thank you, Reid. So you already know when you build intelligent applications, context is the key. And for document-centric application, that context is tricky. These are living, breathing, unstructured files that are getting collaborated with users day in, day out. And then you need to enable the enterprise-grade security and compliance so that you can make sure this application is ready for your customers and end users. So to enable AI on such applications, you cannot extract, duplicate, or relocate this content for your AI. You need to reason with this context where it is. You need to reason with it in real time as the files and documents are evolving. So let me show you a quick demo of how you can use SharePoint Embedded to build such an applications with ease. Okay, Reid mentions containers. As a developer for FabricM, I have used SharePoint Embedded to build this contract management application for my company. Like any other applications, this application deals with tons of documents, and I use the containers to organize this information. For example, I'm using one container per project. If you want, you can use it per user or per customer, right? So the possibilities are limitless. All right, now let me switch the persona and be the contract manager who's actually going to use this application. So I log in into this application, and you can see I have lots of documents here. And the contract season is here, and I have a ton of proposals from the vendors that I need to choose. Typically, I will spend hours doing due diligence, processing these documents to finalize or shortlist the vendor I need that meets the criteria for my company's budget and policies. But contract-wise is an intelligent application built on SharePoint Embedded. So this agent can reason with all the content that's available. And I can ask with natural language queries that can help me simplify my job. So in this case, it gave me a prompt to help with my writer's block, but I really am looking for proposals here. So help me summarize the proposals by uptime and hourly rates. That's what I really care. So in this case, the agent is reasoning with the content and gave me a quick summary, and I can do an apple-to-apple comparison here, right? And this is really useful, very actionable for me. I can see that this team score proposal seems really promising with less hourly rate, and I really want to kind of explore this one. So I click on the citation. So note that the agent responses are scoped to the application context. In this case, it's actually scoped to this particular folder. It's super helpful. Okay, I like this, but I want to know more about this proposal. So it opened this file in the familiar Word experience that I'm really used to. So this is really helpful for me as an end user. Now, this looks good, but I know my friend Reid, who's really well connected, and he knows what team score is. So I'm going to just tag him and ask him, could you share me a little bit about what team score is? And he sometimes ignores me, so I'm going to assign it to him. Now, this file is not shared with him yet. So I get to share this securely, just like you would share within OneDrive and SharePoint. All right, so assign to Reid. You have a task to finish after this demo, Reid. All right, so I really love this experience. I get not only intelligence, but I also get this familiar capabilities of sharing, collaborating with my colleagues. Okay, as a developer, the reason I'm able to kind of reason with this document is because the content in SharePoint Embedded is automatically semantically indexed. So I don't have to build the RAG pipeline. Also, I can use the out-of-box Copilot orchestrator here. So the information and the responses are synthesized and ready for me to share it with the end users. Second, because the context and indexes are co-located within the Microsoft tenant, I don't have to worry about the governance policy. And third, and most importantly, I don't have to worry about the access control. All the responses are security trimmed to the user's permission. Because I'm managing this particular contract, only I have access to this responses. Someone else may get different responses based on their access permission. This is super powerful and super important when you're building enterprise-grade AI application. All right, so if you switch back to a little bit of a code and how you can make it happen. So with our Visual Studio extension, you get sample apps, and with that, you get an SDK. So with a React component, with just a few lines of code, as you can see, you can enable this agent control within your application. You get to set the auth scope, and what that means is your agent has access to the end users. The control knows who the user is, and so they can respond accordingly. Second thing, you get to set the scope. So you can dynamically scope based on the file, folder, or the application domain. So this is super powerful. Now, that's great, but my end users don't spend all the time in this contract application. They often interact within teams. So let me show you yet another and quick demo. So I'm done with my reviewal process for the vendors. And this agent, the contract-wise agent that you just saw, is now published in Teams. My manager asked me about the status, and I can @mention contract-wise the agent that you just saw within the third-party application and say, remind me the vendor with the lowest hourly rate. So what's happening behind the scenes is I have published this agent that is grounded on the application's knowledge. And again, I get the same familiar experience grounded within those documents, and I have the citations, and I can leverage this agent where I am spending time and collaborate with my teammates. And using the agents toolkit that was recently announced, you can build this agent with, again, just a few lines of code. All you need to do is reference the content that you need to ground your agent with, and you're good to go. As you can see, SharePoint Embedded brings AI, collaboration, and compliance together under one technology. So you don't have to build the data management layer. You don't have to build the AI stack. You get all of it within one single layer. And you can build powerful, efficient, enterprise-grade applications. Reid mentioned Copilot Notebook, Designer, Copilot Pages. Many Microsoft applications which are AI native are built on SharePoint Embedded. And this functionality is now available to customers and ISVs. We have several large customers building their mission-critical applications on SharePoint Embedded. We have large ISVs building on top of SharePoint Embedded for their multi-tenant scenarios. Thomson Reuters is a great example. Their core console is an AI-centric application, and they are building this on SharePoint Embedded so that the content, the knowledge, or the context for the agent stays within the customer's trust boundaries. So Thomson Reuters can focus on their user experience, their AI scenarios, and let the security policies apply with the customer's need. With that, I would like to wrap up with some call for actions.
All right. Thanks very much for that demo, Yogesh. If anyone's interested in taking a deeper dive into the code behind that, we're going to be around over here at the rounds afterwards. But getting started with SharePoint Embedded is very easy. We have a couple of different URLs here that you can hit, one of which is the core learn documentation for SharePoint Embedded. SPE agent is all about how do you actually execute on the stuff which Yogesh was demoing just a second ago. And if you're interested in the Copilot Retrieval API and SharePoint Embedded, you should definitely email us. We'd love to talk with you about your use case. Now, the last thing that I'll let you know is we have some hands-on learning that is available to people. We're doing 7 cities coming up here in June. And so if you want to explore different opportunities for you to get hands-on with this technology in a half-day session, just go over to this aka.ms/SPE events. So we're going to talk about all kinds of topics. We'll talk about the basics, what we call the L100. We'll help you get started with this VS Code extension that Yogesh mentioned earlier. It's a great way to get started very quickly. And if you like Model Context Protocol Servers, MCP, we actually have some great work with that we can walk you through as well. So with that, enjoy the rest of Build, and thank you very much.
Thank you.